And joining me now to talk about, where do we even begin? SAG Awards, Sundance Film Festival. Let's welcome Afua Adam. It's great to have you. I see us twinning, you know, with the little frills on our tops, but you look amazing as always, Afua. So let's get talking on this particular situation. You see, Black Panther took the top award at the SAG Awards, and everybody has been talking about this. So tell us about that.
Yeah, that is the biggest talking point that came out of the Screen Actors Guild Awards was Black Panther taking home what is the Best Picture equivalent, outstanding, I think it's outstanding Best Ensemble Cast Award. I need to read my notes there. And that's basically the Screen Actors Guild equivalent of a Best Picture award. Now, it had some really stiff competition. It was up against Black Klansman, A Star Is Born, Can You Ever Forgive Me, and Crazy Rich Asians. Really good to note that there was some good diversity in that category. Black Panther, Black Klansman, Crazy Rich Asians had very diverse casting, but Black Panther took the prize home, and congratulations to them. It's about time they really got the accolades they deserved for that film. $1 billion taken at box office worldwide. You cannot deny it was a fan hit.
All right, now we have to talk about Glenn Close. Now, you see, she did really huge at the awards as well. I mean, she had the top acting award. It went straight to her. And we're really thinking, looking at her Oscar nomination, what does this mean? Does she have a better chance of getting that Oscar award?
Do you know what? I think she does. So it's 71 years old, can you imagine? Glenn Close has never picked up an Academy Award, and the Screen Actors Guild Awards is sometimes seen as an indicator at what might happen at the Oscars. Again, she was up against some stiff competition. She was up against Emily Blunt there, as well as Melissa McCarthy, as well as Lady Gaga, who again didn't win, unfortunately. But Glenn Close did take that prize for the writer.
You know, to fulfill all righteousness, because she may not really get any. Looking at it's just one film she has done. Do you think she might just? She's probably just not going to get any of this awards, is she?
I think this year there's a problem where she's in such a strong category. So she's up against Glenn Close, she's up against Melissa McCarthy. And let's not forget, this is pretty much her debut film, apart from documentaries and things that have been made about her musical career. So I think she's in a really tough pool this year. And like you said, it is her first film. I think for her to expect to pick up the Best Actress awards in her first film like this is maybe a bit of a tall order. And I think unfortunately, A Star Is Born might be one of those films with loads of nominations that didn't actually do much when it comes to awards. At the Screen Actors Guild Awards, I think it was up for 4 nominations, but didn't take home a single one. So perhaps it might be that film this year that maybe she just can't do it, unfortunately. I mean, she looked amazing on the red carpet, and let's not deny, she was nominated for the Golden Globes, the Academy Awards, the Screen Actors Guild Awards, and she has picked up a smaller award for her part in A Star Is Born. So let's not, you know, say that it wasn't a great performance. It was. I think just this year is just not her time.
Okay, well, hopefully we get to see her in more performances apart from what she did in A Star Is Born. But anyways, let's talk about someone who almost made me shed a tear. I love this woman, Emily Blunt. I was really mad that she didn't get an Oscar nomination. But anyway, she picked up Best Supporting Actress and, you know, had this amazing speech about her husband, John Krasinski. You know, tell us about that moment.
Yes, I mean, Emily Blunt, I'm sorry, but I just think she's the cutest. She is so lovely, and her husband makes such a great team, and they made this film together, and that's the one she picked up the Best Actress nomination for. A great film, and like you said, she was snubbed really at the Academy Awards. For Mary Poppins Returns as well, she didn't pick up any nominations, and she's done really well to get the prize for this film. And I think she's just one of these people that she's so loved in Hollywood, both her and her husband. Of course, this was for A Quiet Place, which is kind of a horror film, pretty scary. I've seen it. I really liked it.
I really liked it.
And I think it's great that she's finally getting the recognition I know, right? I really, really liked it. And the Black Panther sequel, I'm just going to get that in there as well. But it was a great film. John Krasinski, our husband, he directed it and he was in it as well. And also for the horror genre, it's not often recognized like rom-coms in these kind of award ceremonies. So I think it's great for the genre as well. And it's great for her. Like, she's a really hard-working actress. She's been around for a long time. As we said, she was kind of shunned by the Academy for Mary Poppins Returns and for A Quiet Place. And she was also up for Best Actress as well as Best Supporting Actress for this role. So I think it's amazing for her to pick up this nomination and to pick up the award. And that speech she gave was so lovely, and her husband cried, and then I cried, then you cried.
And I cried, and everybody else just cried. You
Lovely.
know, we're just crying all over the place. Now, I really need to know if there's one thing that everybody is not tolerating this year, it is no diversity. People are no longer begging, they're now demanding that, look, I don't care what I look like, I don't care about my color, my race, I deserve to be recognized. So in terms of diversity, how would you say it played out at the SAG Awards this year?
I think the Screen Actors Guild Awards has been a little bit more diverse than, say, the Academy Award nominations that we got out last week. Crazy Rich Asians got 4 nominations. The Academy Awards didn't give it a single one. Sandra Oh picked up an award for Best Actress in a Drama Series, and she's done amazingly this year as well. So I think when it comes to Screen Actors Guild Awards, we can say it probably was quite diverse. In that kind of Best Film, the Best Ensemble, in a film category, you have Black Klansman, you had Crazy Rich Asians, and you had Black Panther as well. So 3 very diverse films in there. I'm pleased that Crazy Rich Asians got more of the recognition that it deserves. So I think Screen Actors Guild kind of did well on diversity this year, and something the Academy should take note from. Let's just be honest.
Now, you see, I keep asking, if there are so many indicators as to the fact that the Academy Awards ignore a lot of signs, why do we keep on waiting and looking up to the Oscars to define credibility in film and acting? You know, it's really, really crazy, but I really just have to know, what does this mean for the nominations we saw at the Oscars? Does this mean that, okay, looking at what has happened here, we can assume this is what's going to play out at the Oscars?
You know, you make a really good point there, Kat. You know, I was discussing this with someone the other day. Why is it that we look to the Academy to be like the yardstick with which we measure talent and which we measure greatness when it comes to film? I don't really know. Maybe because it's the Academy, it has this, you know, 91-year history, and Screen Actors Guild was 25 years old. Golden Globes is a young award ceremony as well. The Screen Actors Guild Awards are seen as an indicator for the Oscars, but Emily Blunt was completely shunned at the Oscars for nominations, and she picked up a Best Actress prize here. So I think it kind of throws the whole thing wide open now, that anybody could do it, anybody could win. I mean, I'd love to see Black Panther pick up the Best Picture prize, and Mahershala Ali got the Best Supporting Actor prize, and I would love him to take that for Green Book as well. So let's hope that some of these indicators can come true. But I really hope that going forward, we can look to other award ceremonies like Screen Actors Guild, like Golden Globes, and some of the smaller ones as well, and think, you know what, it's not all about the Academy. There's other acting bodies out there that recognize what actors do and recognize diversity, and maybe we'll hold them in the same yardstick, hold them up to such acclaim and say, look, pick up a Screen Actors Guild Award or a Golden Globe, it's just as good, if not better than an Academy Award.
But you see, I feel we might not really have that, because there's this prestige associated to an ego, to where we have the Emmy, the Grammy, the Oscar, and the Tony. So if you have the Oscar from that category, then hey, you just have an EGT. So I feel like, yeah, it's a far cry. But anyways, let's leave the Oscars for now and talk about the Sundance Film Festival, which also kicked off this weekend rather. And you know, there's been so much talk about it, especially with the Michael Jackson documentary. So, you know, tell us about that.
Absolutely. So Sundance Festival kicked off over the weekend, last Friday, I believe. And the first thing that was shown, or one of the first things was shown, was this Michael Jackson documentary, Leaving Neverland. Now, there's so much surrounding this. We could unpick this for days and days and weeks and months. I haven't seen it, so I can't comment, you know, completely on what's in it, and not a lot of people have, but the reactions to the documentary have been really, really strong. So it's 2 men and a filmmaker who are telling the story of what happened to them in Neverland on the ranch, saying that Michael Jackson abused them, gave them jewelry, and all these kind of claims were made in the documentary. Basically about what Michael Jackson did to them and how he abused them. And what really shocked me was the reactions from the audience. There was lots of tweets that came out, and it was lots of filmmakers and journalists were in the audience, and they were talking about how harrowing they found it, and how brave that the two men were that stood up and told their stories. So the accusers are Wade Robinson and James Safechuck, and they have previously accused Michael Jackson before and went back to court and had their claims thrown out of court. And it wasn't until they went into therapy and came to terms with what happened and then approached this filmmaker, and that's how Leaving Neverland has been made now. It is very much worth saying that the Michael Jackson family have come out and refuted the documentary 100% and said that these two men are just after money and that they're ruining Michael Jackson's name and the legacy that he has. And, you know, it's a difficult one because you can look at this from the side of filmmaking and say, you know, it's a well-made documentary, it's powerful, it's moving people, but it's all about getting to the truth and the nuggets of the story. And let's just be honest, nobody knows what really happened apart from the two men and Michael Jackson. So you can never really say this happened or this happened, but it's getting very, very, very powerful reactions at Sundance. It will be out on HBO later on in America and on Channel 4 here in the UK later this year. And it's kind of got that reaction like the R. Kelly documentary, hasn't it?
That was what I was
Everybody's
about
just
to
talking about it.
mention. Exactly. Now, really briefly, Afua, I really have to know. We've seen various documentaries. We've seen documentaries made on people that have passed on. I mean, we're getting an Aretha Franklin documentary. There's so many different types. Now, I really have to ask you about this particular situation, looking at the fact that Michael Jackson is no more and the nature of this documentary, it's kind of like another Surviving R. Kelly situation. How do you think fans of Michael Jackson are going to react to it, looking at the fact that he's not even alive to maybe even face any charges if they were going to press them?
Now, I think the reaction to this is going to be quite different from R. Kelly, and I think it has been already, because, like you so rightly said, Michael Jackson has passed. He's not here to defend himself. And I think a lot of people will see it as tarnishing his legacy and tarnishing the reputation of someone who's passed on and unfortunately can't stick up for themselves and can't defend themselves. And I think a lot of people will take umbrage to that. Michael Jackson's fan base are hardcore. I mean, they are loyal. That's all you can really say about them. And you know, we all love Michael Jackson. Let's just be honest. He's all these amazing songs that we do love. And even when he was alive, there was all these rumors, and we still kind of chose to overlook it and play those songs. Everybody can say that, you know? And I think now that he's not here and these accusations are coming out, I think it's actually probably just going to garner the fan base to say, look, we're not having this, we're not listening to this, and we're not taking it. But I think in the time where you have this R. Kelly situation and you have this documentary that's come out about him, and there's been so many strong reactions to that as well, I think people are going to say, look, if we can say this about R. Kelly and we can have the hashtag mute R. Kelly, why are we not going to have the hashtag mute Michael Jackson? Is it not the same thing? And that is the debate that's already arising on social media and will continue.
We'll definitely have to talk some more on this, Afua. Thank you so much for, you know, filling us in and all of the great things that happened over the weekend. Now, before we say goodbye to you all at home, we have a final video for you. So there seems to be a renewed sense in the story of America's most infamous serial killer, Ted Bundy. Netflix made a documentary which came out over the weekend, and now Hollywood is making a film. Zac Efron is terrifying as Ted Bundy in this extremely wicked, shockingly evil and vile. Take a look at the trailer.
That guy's been staring at you all night.
What do you say we get out of here?
What is it about this guy? When I feel his love, I feel like I'm on top of the world.
There are things you don't know.
Hi, officer. I think I must be lost.
That will shock you beyond your worst nightmare. I am innocent. You don't actually believe this garbage, do you?
It's in all the papers, Ted.
Monkey! Oh!
How did his name get on that suspect list? I want to come see you.
I was really hoping you'd say that.
This case is about catching a monster.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am that innocent suspect.
You are skating on thin ice, partner.
The media has convicted Ted before he's had his day in court.
I'm gagged, and you're not.
Well, that is going to be all from us here in Lagos and in London as well. Thank you so much for watching the show. And don't forget, you can catch us every single day at 4 p.m. right here on the Arise News channel. So until next time, I am Kachi Ofia, and this has been Arise 360. Goodbye.